I once stood tall, powerful, and full of life. The world knew my face but not the fears that lived behind it. Until one single moment tore everything apart. The fame, the freedom, the man I thought I was. What followed wasn't a story of defeat, but a fight to find meaning again. This is the truth behind the legacy. The rise that came after the fall, and the strength born from pain. The fall that changed everything. I grew up chasing dreams that always seemed bigger than myself. Each morning I woke up believing the world had a place for me if I could just find the right way to stand out. I didn't want fame at first. I wanted meaning. Something that would make people feel alive when they looked at me. When I started acting, I stumbled through auditions, playing faces that weren't mine. I kept waiting for that one chance that would lift me higher. Finally, it came. A role that asked me to be a symbol of courage, strength, and hope. I didn't know then how deeply that role would define me, or how much it would later mirror the life I never expected to live. Fame came faster than I was ready for. The lights, the cheers, the faces waiting outside studios, they all made me believe I had finally arrived. I learned to move through crowds like a man who belonged there. Yet deep inside I still felt like that boy searching for purpose. I worked hard to prove I was more than an image on a screen. I wanted to show I could feel, fail, rise, and still find something true in myself. Success brought comfort, but it also brought pressure. Every new film, every headline, carried weight. I tried to keep my feet on the ground, but it wasn't easy. People saw a hero. I saw a man trying not to fall apart. I found love, built a family, and tried to hold on to the pieces that made me real. I rode through the highs and lows, thinking I had conquered every fear life could throw at me. Then one day, everything changed. A single moment broke the rhythm I had built my life upon. The fall came fast. So fast that I barely understood what had happened until the world went still around me. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak without help. My body, once strong and sure, had turned into something unfamiliar. The man who had flown across screens now couldn't lift his own head. I remember the first night in the hospital, machines humming, faces moving in and out of focus. The weight of it hit me then. Everything I had been was gone, stripped away in seconds. I lay there, staring at a ceiling that would become my horizon for months. The pain wasn't just in my body, it lived in every thought, every fear that whispered that my life had ended. But miraculously, something inside me refused to give up. I began to learn how to live again, not as the man I was, but as the man I still could be. Every breath became a small victory. Gradually, I learned to find my voice again, to look at my family and draw strength from their faces. I built my days around tiny steps that no one could see, but each one mattered. The world that once knew me for strength now saw me in a chair dependent on others to move, to eat, to breathe. Some pitied me, others called me brave. But I didn't want either. I wanted understanding. I wanted people to see that the loss of my body didn't mean the end of my spirit. I fought to turn my pain into purpose. And slowly, I found that purpose. I began to speak for others who had been broken by fate, who had lost control over their own bodies but not their will to live. I stood up, not with my legs but with my words. I used my voice to push for change, to demand hope for those who had none. Soon the world began to listen. And for the first time I felt stronger than I ever had before the fall. However, the days were not easy. Some mornings I woke up wishing for the life I once knew. The movement, the freedom, the feeling of wind rushing past me. But those wishes no longer ruled me. I had learned that strength wasn't in muscles or movement, but in endurance. It's the ability to keep going when everything else has stopped. I worked. I wrote. I dreamt. I surrounded myself with people who believed that life could still be beautiful even when it looked different. I saw my children grow, their laughter echoing in rooms I couldn't reach, yet still filling my heart. I learned to smile again not because everything was fine, but because I had found peace within what was left. As the years passed, my fight became bigger than me. I pushed for research, for progress, for hope that one day, others might walk again. Every small step in science felt like a shared breath between me and those who came after. I began to see how pain could shape purpose, how brokenness could turn into a bridge for others to cross. But even heroes grow tired. The body that had endured so much began to weaken. I could feel my strength slipping, not as defeat, but as acceptance. I had done what I could. And when the end came near, I didn't see it as an ending, I saw it as a release. I had carried the substance of my story for years. And now, it was time to set it down. In the end, I understood something that took a lifetime to learn. That we do not choose what happens to us, but we choose what to do with it. My body had fallen, but my spirit had learned to rise again and again. So if you ever find yourself broken, lost, or afraid to move forward, remember this. Sometimes strength is not in standing tall, but in standing through. My story was not about loss, but about finding life in places I never thought possible. And though I am gone now, I like to believe that somewhere I am still flying, not through air, but through every soul that dares to rise after the fall. I hope that when I'm remembered, it would not be for tragedy, but for transformation. Now you've heard my story of how I once soared very high, only to face a fall that reshaped my entire world. My strength was not in what I lost, but in how I learned to live again. Do you think you know who I am? Share your thoughts in the comments below. In the next episode, my name will be revealed. And when it is, another voice will rise. Not as the one who fell, but as a voice that carried love through pain. One that stood through loss and kept singing when the world thought it was impossible. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like, share, and hit subscribe, so you don't miss what comes next on Identity Mysteries.